In this video, we're gonna focus on shadow boxing Peekaboo style for beginners. Now let's begin. This video can be broken down into several different categories. The first category is moving your feet, footwork. You gotta get the footwork down before you even start punching. The second category is defense, or in Peekaboo, is your head movement. And then the third category is adding in your punches. Before we begin the footwork section of this video, we're gonna do a quick review of your Peekaboo boxing stance. The Peekaboo boxing stance is a little more squared up. Even though I still have my left foot forward and my right foot to the rear, obviously if you're a southpaw, you do everything the same, just with your right foot forward. All right, shoulders slightly shrugged. I'm gonna pull my stomach in, tuck my chin or point my forehead down, hands up on my face, elbows in tight. You wanna make sure you're able to maintain this stance while doing your footwork. So once you get the stance down, the first thing we're gonna do is, I just call it shuffling, just basic boxing, moving forward and backwards. So I'm gonna go forward, I'm gonna push off the rear foot, shuffle forward. I'm gonna double it up, now I'm gonna go to the rear. So I keep my low profile. I'm gonna come in, go backwards. Come in, go backwards, okay? Then once I get forward and backwards down, I go side to side. So I can, same thing, I go backward, making sure I'm not crossing my feet. Just pushing off, here, side to side. Just like if you're following someone or cutting off the ring, here. So I can go forward, backwards, side to side. This is better used when you got a partner. We can do like a mirror drill, but when you're shadow boxing, you gotta get your footwork down. So you should spin around just working footwork. Keeping your stance, I'm moving in, moving backwards, moving side to side, okay? Once you get those basic movements down, then you're gonna do that side shuffle, the side stepping, and you're just gonna turn your hips and circle as you do it. So when I shuffle, I'm just gonna go to the side. Then I can turn and go to the other side, all right? So now I can move in a circular direction. So just a quick review: forward, backwards, side to side, and then the circle step, okay, circling. Those are your basic movements when it comes to footwork. Okay, so now let's move on to the second category, which is head movement. Got to get your head movement down. So when you're in your stance, you can do this one stationary. You got to work your slips side to side, keeping the chin down, heads up. I like to throw my hip out a little bit to the side when I do the windshield wiper motion. Okay, so I'm here, side to side. Try to do full range of motion on your, you don't want to just be head bobbing like this. You want full range of motion, side to side. Just like I'm throwing my head down to my shoulder, kicking my hip out a little bit, side to side. Okay, that's your slipping motion. Then you got your bob and weave. Okay, you're weaving. So I'm just going to drop, full rotation. See how this shoulder comes forward? When I go to this side, when I go to the other side, this shoulder comes forward because I'm preloading that rear hand. Bending the knees, kicking the butt out. I do bend at the waist, okay? But I'm not bending and looking down. All right, so bob and weave. Get your weaving motion down. So you got your side to side and your weave. Then you got your duck or your bob, okay? So now you can start blending in your head movement with your footwork. So I can go backwards, forward. Maybe I can stop, work my head movement, circle out, bob and weave, circle back to the middle, bob, bob. I'm working my head movement, okay? Well, I meant slip, slip, okay? Slip, slip, roll, roll. Maybe I'll shuffle out this way, shuffle back, slip, slip, slip. So you start adding in your footwork and your head movement, okay? Or you can do what I call zigzag. So a quick tutorial on zigzagging is when I'm driving forward with footwork, but using my head movement. So when I'm slipping, I'm just stepping forward with each leg, with each side, like this. So I'm zigzagging, okay? If I do the weave, I'm just weaving in, okay? So now you can do a round just working your head movement and your footwork. Once you get that down, you can start adding in your basic punches. Just start with one punch at a time. But here's the kicker. Every time you complete a punch, you have to move your head. That's what separates peekaboo boxing from the rest of the boxing styles, is the aggressive approach to defense before, during, and after your last punch. Okay? So let's say there's a quick tutorial on the number system, peekaboo. So the 7 is that lead jab. And anytime I throw the lead jab, I'm gonna move my head once or twice or 3 times. So I'm here. Usually when I throw the jab, I slip. All right, that's just my personal preference. So I do the 7, move my head, 7. Okay, now I'm gonna add the 2, making sure I rotate on that rear foot. 2, and I can move my head. 2, move my head. All right, 1, lead hook to the head. Usually when I throw a hook, I bob and weave at the end of it. It just flows a little bit better. All right, now the 2 on the other side, if I'm closer, can be a hook or a cross. So let's say I go 1, 2, I can roll 1, 2 if my opponent backs up, or I can roll 1, 2 with the hook if I'm closer to my opponent. All right, the 3 is that lead uppercut. All right, then I move my head. The 4 is that rear uppercut, move my head. The 5 is that lead hook to the body, move my head. The 6 can be either the rear hook to the body, or if my opponent's farther away, I drop down to that straight right to the body. Okay, and then the last one's gonna be the 8 to the solar plexus, get my head offline when I throw the 8. So once you get the basic punches down, you can start shadow boxing. Just throw 1 punch at a time and then move your head. Every time, move your head. So let me give you an example. 2, 1, 3, 4, 6, 5, 7, 8, 2. Getting used to moving your head after your last punch. Now there's certain movement patterns that work better with different punches. For instance, like I said before, with the jab, I like to slip out. Okay, you can jab and slip, jab and duck. I like jabbing and slipping. Okay, off the cross or the 2, okay, you can actually slip, or you can cross, slip, or, which is a really good one, is I do the double weave. So I cross, double weave. I get in the habit of moving my head 2 to 3 times. So just to keep it simple, try to slip twice and weave twice. Move your head 2 times. Once you get your basic punches down, then you can start throwing combinations. Give you some examples. So I'm in my stance, 7-2, 7-2-1, moving my head, 7-2-3, 7-6-1, moving my head. No matter what the combination is, you know, I'm gonna throw a combination and then move my head. So let me give you another example. So I'm here. And you see how I'm just flowing with my combinations and then moving my head after my last punch. Once you get that down stationary, you can start adding in your footwork. Okay, because remember, when you're sparring or fighting, there's a lot of movement. Sometimes you gotta move towards or cut off the ring against your opponent. Sometimes you gotta go lateral, get to the side. Sometimes you gotta back away and get out. Okay, so now I'm gonna add in the footwork. So let's say I go, moving my head, now shuffle off, move my head, move back to center. Then I move my feet, circle out, circle back. Maybe I move in, circle out. Moving my head after my last punch. So now you can start personalizing your shadow boxing game, and you're gonna find out that you're gonna focus on certain combinations that become your go-tos. Okay, go-to combinations. Maybe your first go-to is the double jab cross or the 7-7-2. Okay, then you're moving your head. One of my go-tos is the 7-6-1, one of my favorite combinations. Okay, so that's how you begin to shadow box. And then you can start, once you get the footwork down, the head movement, where it becomes second nature. Okay, and then punching, moving your head, you can start adding in counter punches. Okay, what's a counter punch? Usually in peekaboo, there's two ways to counter punch. Either I make a miss and counter punch, or I hit him at the same time he's trying to hit me. For instance, let's say I'm in my stance and I'm working my 7, and he slips and throws a big left hook at my head on this side. And I see it and I time it and I just step in with the right hand or the 2 and catch him in between his punches. Okay, so basically I'm gonna make a miss. So if he throws a right hand at me, I slip, throw the hook, make a miss and fire. Or let's say he throws that right hand, I slip and hit him with the right hand at the same time. But there's usually some type of head movement involved. Getting your head offline. What you don't want to do is leave your head in the center all the time. And you especially don't want to fight tall with your head up. You see people fighting with their head up, their chin up in the air. You know, some people are good. I'm not clowning anybody. All right, there's some people that can do that. Good example is Vitaly Klitschko. His head's way up there, but he's so good at getting away and using his reach and his height that he can get away with that. Okay, most of us can't do that. Okay, so those are the key components to building your shadow boxing peekaboo style game. All right, what separates peekaboo from a lot of other boxing styles is the heavy emphasis on defense, being elusive. Okay, so just giving you an example, I'm just gonna spend a minute, 30 seconds maybe, and just kind of shadow box a little bit, and you can see how I blend in all the footwork, the stance, the head movement, the punches, okay, and I blend it in. All right, so let's begin. Always moving my head and moving my feet. So that's a quick example of how I shadow box. Okay, working my footwork, head movement, punching, and moving my head after my last punch. That is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe. Have a good day.